Good afternoon, VV Nation. My name is Ryan. Welcome to the channel. Hey Lee, how are we doing today? First in the comment section today. Just put a VV in the comment section if you can hear me, if you can see me. We got Joey in the background doing his thing. But we'll let everyone, make their way into the room. The alert should be hitting in just a moment. I do see the viewership going up here. But right now, it's pretty interesting. Look what we see. 3 red lights across the board. Not quite the, the optimism we'd like to see in the broad market. The NASDAQ still in positive territory. And let's be honest, most of that being Meta platforms along with Microsoft. There were both winners and losers from earnings call last night. So we'll go over some of those as well. One thing I do notice here, if you look at the top RT sectors, look at the percent change, down 0.18%. I got the alert and I'm on time for lunch too. What's up, Roger? Thank you for joining us today. More like a train wreck. Thanks, Bill. Eric. I see you're from Belgium. Nice. Across from the Atlantic. Always good to see people from all over the world check in here. But we're seeing, the primary wave went down as of yesterday. Normally, I don't do a lot of market timing signal, but we are getting some bearish warning signs here, right? We got the primary wave down yesterday. Follow through today. 3 red lights across the board. RT relative timing, again, looking at the short-term price trend of the broad market, losing its ground, not only lower than it was a week ago, but now it's crossed back below favorable territory. So again, if you're holding position, especially if you're swing trading, might be time to keep your head on a swivel right now. But I'm not, my personal opinion, wait for the dust to settle. Obviously, you got stops in place. Friday, we'll really get a sense of direction. We'll see if today's earnings, the big concern being Apple, right? Caught right in the crosshairs of the tariff situation. Troy says, I read an article that Microsoft is getting into fusion energy with Helion Energy. Now, that's a good article. I have seen quite a few breakthroughs when it comes to fusion energy. But again, still, we'll see how far away that technology really is. But I wouldn't be surprised Microsoft, putting some resources towards that, because with the rise of AI data centers and the rise of energy needs for that, that would make perfect sense. Will Intel ever wake up? I don't know about Intel, David. I gave up on Intel a while ago. Ryan, what is Micron news? As far as Micron news, I did a video on that last night. Went over quite a few details in Micron. Big things going on there, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's pulling back with the rest of the semis right now. Figma just IPO'd. I did see that. The trading started not too long ago. I think it was around, $95 was the first trade. Is CLS safe? At the top of the list, Moody, I don't think any stock is necessarily safe if the market pulls back, right? And we're starting to see signs of that. So hopefully you got some kind of stop in place, right? Because we're starting to see the early weakness right now with the 3 red lights across the board and the primary wave down for the second day in a row. All right, let's see what's moving the market here. We got a lot of big news when it comes to earnings. Let's see here. There we go. All right, first up, we're going to talk about Apple. That's today after the bell, right? Apple earnings are coming out post-market Thursday. Here's what top analysts expect. We see our analysts, led by Tim Cook, will earn $1.33 per share on revenue of $89 billion. This would represent earnings growth of 2.4% and a revenue rise of 4.4% versus the same time period ago. So they're looking at some modest growth when it comes to Apple. Hopefully they can, deliver on some of these numbers, because if not, obviously the forward guidance could be hard to navigate with everything going on geopolitically right now. You can see, look, Apple's closely watched services business grew 11% in the March quarter. We don't believe that there was a significant pull forward due to tariffs into the March quarter, so that's good. It doesn't look like they were too affected as of right now. Sales fell year over year in Greater China in March quarter, although they rose nearly 8% in the Americas, Apple's largest market. All right, so a little mixed review. Again, be careful if you're holding Apple, but with the market pulling back right now, it's hard to get optimistic on buying anything. Fig came in at 108. Nice, nice. So here's another thing I found interesting as the market's starting to pull back a little bit. The news, we watched a lot of the commentary from the Federal Reserve. Markets see dwindling odds of September interest rate cut from the Fed. I don't see that, especially with GDP data ticking back up, unemployment data. And he made it pretty clear, unless they see real slow, growth to be slowed caused by the tariffs. Inflation is still in the back of their minds right now. So it doesn't look like, they're in a rush to get that interest rate cut, even with the pressure from the Trump administration. So look, Figma opens at 85 per share on New York Stock Exchange, more than doubling the IPO price. AMSC is the big winner, up 28% on earnings. I saw that. That stock is rocking and rolling. It's actually one of the top Midas touch stocks right now. Hey, Debbie. As far as any update on Glenn, he's still in the rehabilitation center, just, working on his strength. But no real update, no, major breakthroughs either way. As far as I know, everything has been, his recovery is just coming along pretty smoothly. I don't have any kind of time frame or anything like that to provide, though. Apple, and we got Amazon. Yes, we do got both of them today. So again, chance of a rate cut, not necessarily on the table for September. Here, this I thought was interesting. Meta, Microsoft, both making big moves yesterday. But look at this. Microsoft officially tops $4 trillion in market cap, right? Just Microsoft and NVIDIA at the top of the list here. You can see Microsoft up $20 right now. Just shy of 4%, while NVIDIA is slipping a little bit to the downside here, just shy of 1%. But that's insane. Both of these companies now above $4 trillion. And look, said Azure's annual revenue topped $75 billion. A lot of it has to do with the cloud business, right? And we're going to see if Amazon can perform, give us the same numbers this evening when it comes to the cloud. As far as the tariffs and everything like that, and sales, essentially I don't have too concerns as far as the Amazon platform itself, but I'm more worried about the cloud. I think investors are more worried about the cloud as well. Big reversal on portfolio today. Trimming. Fits, probably not a bad idea. At least, trim a little bit, right? I know a lot of these stocks over the last few months have been on incredible tears to the upside. So, if you're getting happy with your profits, or if some stocks in your position are showing signs of weakness, whether it's breaking some kind of trend line, moving average, whatever you're looking at, you're seeing the weakness there. But that is a personal decision. But with the red lights given, the MTI, again, still receding from those levels of 1.5, 1.6 that we had a few days ago. So, again, just, be careful out there. Plus, thank you for Roblox, Ryan. You mentioned it in a recent live stream. I still like Roblox. I still do. Obviously, with the market pulling back, tech typically gets pretty volatile in the beginning of any kind of pullback. So, again, just, assess where you're at with your, your positions, assess where your profits, your loss mitigations, things like that. But yeah, some great opportunities in the market have presented themselves over the last few months. So don't get too greedy, especially if you're swing trading. Now, the last stock I want to talk about, ARM, completely tumbled. You see it's down, 14% right now. Plunged after the chip designer offered a muted profit forecast for the fiscal second quarter. Indicated the company plans to invest in its own chip development. I did see that. I read a little bit about that. They're coming out with their own GPUs, CPU, things like that, rather than just the architecture itself. And this is what they didn't like. More questions than answers. Again, ARM, especially being an overvalued company, right, compared to the VectorVest metrics. We'll take a look at that in just a moment. Investors want to get enthused, right? And if you're giving them a sense of uncertainty, and especially, sounded like a lot of uncertainty with this call in particular, I'm not surprised the stock is down 14%. I guess today is the July high in the S&P. I think most items have hit, and actually, being the last day in July, we'll take a look at that. Let's go back into the VectorVest 7 software here. Let's go to the graphs. Let's see here. SPX, VectorVest Composite. So IDIX. NASDAQ Composite IXIC. Let's go to 1 year. All right, S&P hit the July high as of today. VectorVest Composite. It did get a close high, but not intraday high. So kind of 50-50 on that one. Did not get an intraday high, just a closing high here. And you can see the rollover in it right now over the last few trading sessions. So again, be careful. And here's the NASDAQ. Big down day today in the NASDAQ here, bringing it all the way down to the upper Bollinger Band. Still in the upper Bollinger Band, but again, still weakness overall here. The NASDAQ opened at a high today, giving that up, showing weakness in this uptrend now. Now, if we go back to the homepage, let's take a look. All the major indices are now negative. The big winner here, minus touch, we got American Semiconductor. A lot of people have been mentioning this in the chat, so let's take a look at American Semiconductor here. U12 says there's a trend to remove the dependency on cloud by running the LLM locally thanks to highly sophisticated chips from AMD and NVIDIA. Interesting. Monday would have been a closing high for S&P 500. All right. It's snakes and ladders. I lost out on, was it ATL? Or ATI, sorry. All right, there it is. Look at that 1 year big update today. I mean, a little bit of a wick at the top, but still a lot of follow through, and not too far from session highs for, especially as the market's pulling back here. I do like the position. I mean, this is a clear cup. A little bit of a handle, finally broke out, right? Pretty nice there. And if I take a freehand line, about the same here. Yeah, it's about right, reached the objective right here. If we're looking at it from a symmetrical standpoint. So yeah, I'd be more, it depends where you're at, but at least, maybe take some off the table. I mean, the stock was $15 a little bit ago. Now it's trading, was closer to $60 earlier today. So just be careful of that. I don't want you to lose your profits here, especially with the market. I'd be a little bit more optimistic. I'd give a little bit more room to wiggle if we weren't seeing more bearish notes in the market. All right, so let's get out of here. Let's go over to the viewers tab. Take a look at the stocks. All right, we got Meta, Amazon, Microsoft, Apple, ARM here from the stories today. As far as valuation, Meta, after the big jump up today, up 11%, the stock is now fairly valued. I've been talking about Meta being undervalued quite a bit. You know how I do the Qs, and I'll resort by price divided by value. It's popped up there quite a bit over the last 12 to 18 months. Amazon, overvalued now. Microsoft, it's been overvalued, even a little bit more overvalued now. Apple, a little bit overvalued. ARM, definitely overvalued. We only value the company at $42. It's down 14% right now. Relative value, even though some of these stocks are overvalued, look, they still bring long-term price appreciation to the table. ARM, more of a swing trade in my opinion right now, especially at these levels. RS, relative safety, I'm not surprised that the big stocks have the safety rating, while ARM here with a safety rating below 1. Roger says, thoughts on AMD? Was still looking good earlier this morning. Just past value, I believe. Yes, it did just pass value. I've been talking about the ascending channel in AMD. I'd look for the retest at the top of that channel potentially before earnings. Just throwing that out there. Look for the retest at the top of the channel. As far as VST, all favorable ratings here. Again, ARMS just was a momentum play. It looks like it's lost a lot of that momentum, even with the 14% move to the downside. RT struggling to remain in positive territory. Right now sitting at 1.03. Now let's look at the forecasted data of some of these big stocks here. We see the growth rate in earnings, 21% for Meta, 26% for Amazon. It's actually the largest in the list of the 4 Mag 7 stocks I have here. And ARM's the only one to beat it at just 28%. I like that. Amazon, 26%. Slightly overvalued here. Meta, 21%. Fairly valued now. Let's take a look at some of these sales growth rate. Ravi says UAMY, what's the stop criteria? As far as any stop criteria, you would have to assess your own risk there. Did you trailing stop, 20-day EMA, something? I haven't looked at UAMY, but I figured as we got closer to a potential China deal, there'd be a little bit of a pullback from that breakout that we had. Because essentially, again, we're trading, computer chips for rare earths. But we've seen that Department of Defense and a lot of other industries are definitely gearing towards domestic production of rare earths and critical minerals. But yeah, these stocks look good overall. Again, Apple, that's going to be the wild card this evening. A little bit more skeptical of Apple. If I had to guess, I'm thinking Amazon gaps up. Apple, I'm going to say slightly down if I had to guess. UAM down and under. Yeah, so I was around 296, I think, last time I looked at it. UAMY. Let's take a look here. Let's go to graphs. I'm going to put in UAMY, USAR. Yep, and it broke right below that trend line as well, so I would be getting defensive there. Broke the star search. That I like the momentum. As soon as it broke out of the star search layout would have gotten you in the position. The close that day, right around $3, right? Hit a high, $3.85. I mean, it was almost 30% just a few days, and then crossed back below. On the open that day, it was about $3.53. In game, UNH. Oh, what happened to UNH? That's right, they reported earnings. I want to take a look at UNH. What'd they do? Oh, going down even more. I'm not surprised by that. If I looked at value, this is why I wasn't too optimistic on UNH, because look at the valuation, right? If you would have thought, it gapped down, say you bought around here, close was 411, right? Thought you had a good deal? Nope. Thought you had a good deal at 296? Nope. And look at the valuation. That deal is becoming a lot less attractive. Yes, Bill, this is a train wreck. It's not looking good at all. If you did bottom fish in UNH, again, I would be careful. As far as any kind of optimism, maybe a double bottom pattern. We are approaching that right now. The low came in 248.88. Right now we're at 250. We're only $3 away from them. We're not far away from that at all. Be careful. They left it late for the July high, last day of the month. Yeah, looks like that July high thing might be coming to fruition. But again, I think other than the tariffs, which we're seeing numbers and updates and stuff, it's the interest rate decision. Market, I think, thought their chance for interest rate cut was decent, but as soon as I saw that GDP number coming positive, and even the jobs numbers, I'm not too surprised by that. That we're not going to get an interest rate cut, and not necessarily want one right now, but we'll see. If some of this tariff stuff slows down the economy, if we actually see a slow in growth, yeah, there'll be some justification. Monday was the July closing high in the S&P 500. Yes, they did. This was quite the week. Tomorrow will be August 1st, right? And if you look at UNH, like the earnings per share is rolling over. The growth rate was at 9%. Now it sits at 4%. Sales growth rate is the only thing climbing here. Earnings is dropping. All right, I want to take a look at Palantir. Palantir, top of this channel, right? We're seeing it, a little bit of rejection at the top of this channel here. A lot of these stocks hit highs at opens, but are giving up those gains. So we're seeing weakness right now at market highs. So just be careful of that. Let's see here. Let's go back over to viewers tab. I want to take a look at Contra ETFs, right? So if we're seeing red lights here. Let's take a look at some Contra ETFs. There we go. Glenn always held through Palantir results, and it was always surprised to the upside. Yes, he did. I wouldn't be surprised. Like, I'm more concerned about the market than the individual earnings right now. With a little bit of, with those red lights that we're seeing. Ooh. I'm on refresh. All right, let me click on RT. Go to auto fit. All right, we got natural gas. We got VIX futures here. Brazil. Actually, let's go down. Index. There we go. Index Contra. That's what I'm looking for. All right, let's graph these. See where they're at here. And then we're going to change this to 320. Get rid of this, and this. All right, one thing I do like, look at the RT or relative timing here. Taking out this prior swing high and this swing high. What's the other one here? 0.85. Right now we're at 0.84. So if you really want some confirmation, you can definitely get RT above that. So because again, we'd be bottom fishing. Look at dog here breaking through that 20-day EMA. All the moving averages going in a bullish manner here. You can see the beginning of this turn here. We got rejection. Not quite seeing rejection yet. So it may not be a bad idea to open up, some small positions. That's up to you if you're comfortable playing on the bearish side of things, or if you want to wait for more confirmation for tomorrow. But we are seeing moving averages cross over in a bullish manner with these Contra ETFs. This is the Russell 2000 here. We got rejection here. It's breaking through this time. Bullish candlestick today. Open body on it. See, last time it had a good run. Here's the Dow 30. So we're starting to see it turn around. Yeah, a lot of these Contra ETFs are showing, early signs of a turnaround here. This is the PSQ, ProShares QQQ. Looks like a bullish engulfing candlestick potentially. Engulfed a few candlesticks before. A little early on the Qs, you could see. Still well below that 20-day EMA. And here's the Russell. The Russell looks like it's showing the most confirmation to the downside. That or maybe the Dow. So here's the Dow. Yeah, I'd say that or the Dow. The Qs, not quite there. S&P, not quite there. Still pretty early for the S&P. But the Dow Jones and the Russell look a little bit more, attractive as far as, any kind of Contra ETFs here. Yeah, let's see. Let's go to 3 month. Zoom in a little bit. Yeah, bullish engulfing. Engulf 1, 2, 3. Aiming for a fourth, maybe a fifth before it. If it gets back up to the session highs here, looks like it will dwarf the trading week before it, the 5 trading days before it here. Look at RT relative timing. Lower left, upper right, hitting a series. Higher highs. Higher lows. Interesting. All right, what is it? 223 here. I'm going to take your stock picks. And because the market is rolling over, I know you probably have a little bit more questions about your stock picks than normal. So today we're going to do 20 stock picks. Go ahead and type them in the comment section. We'll take 20 stock picks here. Was there a 6 p.m. YouTube last night? Looks like the visibility settings were off on that, but it is there now. It was on Micron. Tonight's will be on AMD. APP. Let's see. All right, CLS, yeah. Shell. Yeah, Shell reported too. I think it was yesterday evening, right? Because tomorrow we've got, was it Chevron and Exxon maybe? We got CoreWeave.
Ryan, will you put STKL in there?
STKL. App. ISSC. I think yeah. Oh, it's already in the list here. All right, how many we got here? Seven more. All right, C, V, and A, M, U, C, I, O, N, D, S, E, T, H. I think that'll be 20. Yep, that's 20 on the dot. All right. At the top of the list, we've got CLS, Celestica. All right, we've got quite a few stocks. Pretty mixed bag here. Some big winners, such as RSI, rush up 22%. We've got some losers in the mix as well, such as CI. Now, let's see where we can find some value here. If you ever want to, if you got a watch list or a list of stocks, you want to see where you can get some value, just go up here to the sort. And we're going to go to value divided by price. Hit OK. This will give us the most value at the top of the list. Look, Micron at the top of the list here. Kinross Gold shortly after. And look at gold up 3%. Well, Kinross Gold. I wonder if the overall sentiment is going to be a little bit more bullish on gold, getting closer to tariffs and with the market pulling back. Wouldn't be too surprised by that. But overall, look, mixed bag here. Micron's down 6%. Semiconductors in general, they're facing a little pressure today. Kinross Gold. Look, this one, Cigna Group, CI here, down 8%. Sell rating, one of the top, one of the most undervalued companies, right now. Growth rate and earnings, pretty solid list here. Only 2 are negative. We got Shell, Roblox Corp. These are ETFs, so they're zeroed out here. Safety ratings here. Not the safest stocks in database. You could see the watch list value here. Safety coming right in at 1. So you guys right at neutral. You do have some long-term appreciation here. As far as the stocks in general, they are trading at a premium. 119 compared to our value at 93. RT, most of the stocks are moving up in general. 1.41. Great list of stocks here. Great list of stocks. Let's go to the sales growth rate here. See if we got any great numbers or bad numbers. ISSC 104. The only one negative, Shell, which I had negative earnings growth rate as well. Just keep that in mind. AppLovin 40%. Let's see here. Astera Labs, yeah, A Labs, that's been rocking and rolling here. We've got CoreWeave 420, Ondis 580, AMP 383%, and sales growth rate. Big number of stocks here. Big number of stocks. All right, let's go ahead and graph all of these. All right, first up, we got Micron on the list. I'm going to put growth rate and earnings, sales growth rate. Yeah, let's keep our value here. And let's go back out to 6 months. Let's get rid of RT. Put earnings per share. All right, Micron, the only thing faltering here is forecasted data. The sales growth rate did drop down to 40%, or 37% now. But from a technical perspective, you could see the trend line here. Unless it breaks above this trend line, this was the level I was looking for. So if you get above that 20-day EMA, I am seeing complete rejection. So I would say protect profits at this time. The stock is greatly undervalued, correct. So if you're more of an investor rather than a trader, you might hold on to it. But again, do not have a stop, right? You want to stop in place, definitely so. But Micron, we did have a buy rating yesterday, but lost it again today. So we are just seeing weakness in price there. So be careful. I'm seeing rejection. Here's Kinross Gold. Value just keeps on rocking and rolling here. Quite the consolidation to the side. So not much momentum in either direction. But price action, still utilizing that 20-day EMA as a level of support. If we take a look at the forecasted data, 37%, 38% respectively here. Rising earnings per share. I know gold's not the hottest industry to be in right now. But if you see gold, garnishing some momentum, this might be a stock to put on your radar. Kinross Gold. It worked out really well last time during the gold trade. Here's Cigna. Ooh, not good. $273. Was close to $300, but again, showing weakness at this 20-day EMA now for the most part. really since May. And look at the valuation rolling over. So now you've got value on the decline. You've got price action on the decline. It's exactly what I don't want to see, right? Again, that's my favorite chart pattern. And this is what you'd want to see if you were bearish. And it's a fresh sell rating today. Earnings per share, a little bit of a turnaround story, but still lower than it was a year ago. Growth rate and earnings on the rise, coming at 12%. Sales growth rate, 18%. Not a bad company. IESC Holdings, there's not much to say here. Look, values on the rise, price actions on the rise. Yeah, I see some a little bit of a sideways action over the last few days, but nothing really too concerning here. Still above the 8-day EMA, both moving averages above the 20-day. Forecasted data, growth rate slipping down to 30% here. Sales growth rate also faltering from about 20% to 18%. The only good thing from forecasted data, the 12-month leading EPS forecast has been rising. Right now, that forecast around 14.41. Micron is too dependent on DRAM. Yeah, I can see that. I know they're trying to do their, their HBM, high bandwidth memory chips now. So we'll see. But yeah, I'm not liking Micron right this second. And mostly, a lot of the semiconductors are showing a little bit of weakness right now. But here's ISSC. Again, value on the rise, price action on the rise. I see you guys are liking this pattern. A lot of these stocks are resembling this pattern. Look, growth rate jumping up, sales growth rate, rise in earnings per share. I like it. I mean, we could even switch to Star Search here. Showing a little bit of weakness. Let's get back above that Bollinger Band before pulling the trigger. Otherwise, if you're in it, keep an eye on it, because right now we did lose the Star Search momentum. Oh. Sun Opta Inc. This is a big range bound stock here. Let's just draw the channel. Channel's going to be about right here to about right here. About 560 to about 673. Right now we're approaching the bottom end of this channel. So I'm not going to make too many big decisions as of right now. I'd like to see a breakout either way, but the stock is becoming a little bit more attractive from a valuation standpoint over the last few days. Growth rate and earnings on the rise. Sales growth rate, 9%. And even the earnings per share starting to come back around. You see the earnings per share forecasted data not looking too good. Sales growth rate, earnings per share. Stocks going down, but now a lot of these items are moving more in positive territory. But one thing from a technical standpoint, look at the RT relative timing. If that goes below 1 before the breakout in either direction, I would just be cautious. That's telling me that it's a little bit more potential to break out to the downside. Here's Ethereum. Ethereum consolidating this week. Nothing too crazy here. Still lower left, upper right from its rally. Diverging away from that 20-day EMA. A little extended right now, so I wouldn't, load up on any more. I'd be a little bit more concerned about, protecting any profits that you might want to. RT relative timing still at 1.94. A lot of momentum with this position here. MTI coming down. Let's hope DEW stays long. Yeah, for the bulls. Here's Amazon. This is 1.5 leverage. Look at this. Lower left, upper right. It's about as smooth as it's going to get. Still above the 20-day EMA. Even the buy rating holding. Maybe if you see a hold appear, that'll be your first warning. But definitely if it drops below that 20-day EMA, you see it's retested it several times. Held as a nice level support when it comes to this 1.5 times leverage ETF on Amazon. And look at the RT. Did a great job doing some bottom fishing here. RT, the trend of this ETF went favorable. Closed in was $34. Now it's at 41. Here is CLS. I don't like that big upper wick. Looks like a bearish engulfing to follow suit. See if confirmation comes tomorrow. But the stock is overpriced now. It's been on a huge run from about $50 is the low to about $50. Just shy $63. $60. But now it's at 200. So it's had a big run. So if it wants to take a breather, hey, I'm not going to be too surprised by that at all. The stock has been running today. Is today turnaround Thursday? I don't know. If it's, maybe it depends which way it's turning around. Ryan, nice video on the semi company's A-Lab is going to be a monster. I believe so as well. John. A lot of optimism when it comes to that. But CLS, I mean, look, still a great stock overall. Earnings per share is just rocking and rolling. Sales growth rate ticks up. Growth rate and earnings, pretty flat from where it was a year ago, but still 29% here. But again, if the stock takes a breather, I'm not going to be too surprised by that. And right now I got a bearish engulfing, so especially if we get any confirmation or about midway into the big body candlestick. If we break that midway section, definitely would be a little bit more defensive here. Here is Shell. Shell is just diverging away from our valuation value, faltering here. It is holding above the 20-day EMA, but look at the forecasted data. Growth rate and earnings went negative. Sales growth rate is negative. Yes, earnings growth rate -2, sales growth rate -2. Earnings per share has been falling steadily over the last 6 months here. I can't say I'm too optimistic on Shell. Hopefully they got something. I know they did they announce a stock buyback? I think they did announce a stock buyback. Here's App. Look at that, moving away from that 20-day EMA, showing a little optimism on a down day here. And look at the valuation starting to tick up too. I can get excited by that. Growth rate, sales growth rate, 50, 40%. Can't complain of those numbers. Earnings per share on the rise here. I like it. I like it a lot. That's still looks good, App 11. Here's RSI. Big one here, gaming company. Look at that, full-bodied candlestick, trading at session highs here. That is a nice roundabout here, gap up situation. And if we notice, take the horizontal line, almost came back and touched it, that prior swing high. But the stock is just overvalued. I see it's got phenomenal forecasted data. RT at 1.9. I'm not going to say jump in it right now, but if you're in it, hey, let your winners win. TGEN. Nice break, pivot back on the 20-day EMA. Rock and rolling, just hit a new 6-month high here. Forecasted data looks good. Earnings per share, not so much. It is faltering here, so I'm not too excited about that. But I will say the stock is just overvalued. But right now, I do like this pivot off the 20-day EMA. We're seeing some follow through as of today. Here we've got Carvana. Gap up. I think I had earnings, right? It was earnings. Yep. It was earnings. Gapped up after the bell. Big upper wick, but it's not giving up any of the gap, so that's good. We're trading at 390 right now. So the company's just overvalued. I like the forecasted data. 48% for earnings, 38% sales growth rate. Earnings per share, $4.09. RT even ticking back up here. But again, I'm not a buyer as of today. I don't like this upper wick here. And just be careful if it starts wanting to fade that gap. But right now we're still positive right now. Here's A-Lab. Ooh, big upper wick here, just above 140. See the momentum breaking out of this resistance zone I had here. 20-day EMA climbed through that resistance zone, so just be careful. This doesn't turn into a shooting star or anything, but otherwise, overall, lower left, upper right, stock's overvalued. The growth rate, and that's why people are excited. Look at the sales growth rate, 144. Earnings per share, 131. I do like this overall. Good stock. All right, here's Reddit. We got lower left, upper right. Stock is overvalued right now. Growth rate and earnings, 53%. Sales growth rate, 61%. I can't get behind it today. It's a down day today, 158.25. Not too excited by that. But hey, this company's got rising earnings. Sales growth rate did falter. Yeah, rising earnings growth rate and rising earnings. I like that. Lower left, upper right. If you want some confirmation here, let's take out this prior swing high. My confirmation levels will be about 165. The current high is around 164.43. Now here's CoreWeave. Below that 20-day EMA. And I'm not too excited just because we got one update. I'd have to get back above this 20-day EMA, which is right around my resistance zone right now, around 131. So I want to see price action break this 20-day EMA. My confirmation is this 131 level. But stock just overvalued, completely overvalued. The forecasted data here, earnings per share negative, sales growth rate faltering down to 420 here. Still good at 420. But with negative forecasted earnings, overvalued, no, I'm going to be bearish on this right now. Here's Ondas Holdings. This is a semiconductor company. Oh, nice pivot off this 20-day EMA. A little retest from the bottom wick today, $2.16. This might actually be a really good holding. We've got value here, way overvalued, still diverging away from valuation. Growth rate, 21%. Sales growth rate, 580%. But look, the stock, negative forecasted earnings. Overvalued. I'm gonna stick to the technicals here. As long as it stays above that 20-day EMA and I see nice pivots off of it, ride it out till you hit your objectives. Here's AMPX. Ooh, right on this 20-day EMA. We're not getting really any pivot off of it, so be careful if you're in AMPX. Right now it's at 693. The 20-day EMA is at 695. So just breaking below it. Late to the party, but NEG is kicking butt today. Yeah, NEG. What is it at now? I'm kind of curious. We'll take a look at NEG after this one. I haven't traded NEG. I captured about 100% gain off it 2 weeks ago. Here's Roblox, lower left, upper right. Not much follow through from earnings optimism. Look at the stocks, just way overvalued. Earnings per share still negative. So I'm going to stick to the technicals with this one as well. As long as it stays above the 20-day EMA. I let it rock and roll, but we are seeing weakness on it. All right, let's take a look at NEG real quick. NEGG. $66. Woo, it's went up to 70. This was a short squeeze candidate I talked about, probably like right in here, I think it was. And then it shot up quite a bit. But yeah, let's use the Bollinger Band here. This is a high momentum stock. Where is it at here? Star Search. All right, so just be careful because this upper Bollinger Band gets a little extended, likes to come back. See one up here, came back, went up. So I'd be too surprised if it came back here in the near future, maybe the next day or two. But as long as we're hugging this upper Bollinger Band here, especially staying above it, I like it. I mean, this was a short squeeze candidate, but apparently they've got all kinds of projects in the works. We'll see what comes of that. But it looks like most of the momentum here is just the stock is trending as a short squeeze candidate. So be careful if you're in it. But yeah, it's been, I think the first time I got into it was around $20. So it's worked out pretty well. And you can see nice U-shaped recovery here. A little bit of a pullback, rejection right at it. Came back the following day. I like to see it a lot. All right, let's go back to the homepage here. See where the major indices are closing at. All right, we got 3 red lights across the board here. Does not look like we're going to get any kind of, safety net in the last hour of this trading here. Looks like we will be closing with a primary wave down and most likely with 3 red lights in the color guards. Actually, let's do one thing here. We're going to market timing. Ooh, look at the VectorVest composite. Broke the 30-day weighted moving average, DPO, at 0.75. If I use the signal here. So last time it broke, right here, the DPO had a little bit more of a buffer zone for that recovery. That's why we didn't get a down signal. The DPO kept it in the up signal, right? But right now, we just qualified as of today, as far as the 30-day weighted moving average. The only thing keeping us up now is a DPO. So if you see this DPO go into negative territory, price action still below that 30-day weighted moving average, that means a DEW down signal is shaping up, right? So just be careful. I'm not saying that's going to happen. I ain't got no crystal ball. But with MACD down, histogram bars picking up, and you can see how well the signal has done for this year. I mean, look back since January here. Got you, definitely gave you warning of the sell-off. Definitely gave you warning of some bottom fishing and some rally opportunities in the market. So, if you, I said put on the red light, put out the red light. You've got to put out the red light. Let's hear you sing. No, I'm not a singer. Definitely not a singer. Indices are coming back a tad. Let's see here. NASDAQ is. So, yeah, just be careful. Again, we're very early stages of market weakness, right? Looks like the DEW signal another down day tomorrow. See what was yesterday's DPO. 1.18. Today 1.76. So if we get a sell off tomorrow, yeah, that could put the DPO negative territory. So I just hope that everyone just keep your head on a swivel. If you're going to look at the market at any point in time, now is the time, because the July highs are in. The MTI is receding off of that. Market, obviously not too happy that we're not getting, interest rate cuts potentially next month. So yeah, just the DEW here, primary waves down. And actually, let's look at one other thing here. RT kicker combo. I want to see what the moving averages are doing. Yeah, we look at this weakness in the moving averages here. So if you're a momentum trader, shaving some profits, not a bad idea when this is down. That's why I say don't go all out and cash out, but shaving a little bit of profits when you see weakness, comes back around. Shaving a little bit of profits. But yeah, so again, just be defensive, be defensive. All right, tomorrow we've got the mobile stream at noon, and we've got Power Hour both in the VectorVest community room and on YouTube tomorrow at 2 p.m. So everyone, definitely take advantage of that. As well, I'm going to be putting out a video, like a little segment. So I'm going to end this a little shortly. As far as Glenn and how, if anyone wants to help him, me and Joey are going to put together that. So that way we can sew it into the 6 p.m. videos. Because I know not everyone watches every video. I've been making the announcements at the live streams. But I've been getting questions in the comments on the 6 p.m. videos. So we're going to make a little video. Probably won't be in tonight's presentation. It won't be in tonight's presentation. But it'll be in tomorrow's presentation. So that way, Ryan, please check the daily chart of the VVC. We've been checking it. I've been looking at it. Bill, what are you talking about? This is the daily chart of the VVC. But yeah, especially, if you're more of an investor, you're thinking long term, these little signs of weakness, probably not that big of a concern, right? But if you're just swing trading off, I call it the tariff bottom, essentially, because that's what caused this. Yeah, I would be getting a little bit more defensive. Obviously, every stock is a little bit different. Oh, 1 day chart. What is it? It just shoot back up? Okay, it's trying to. It's trying to shoot back up. We shall see. There's probably some resistance coming in play. That'd be my zone right in here. But still, even if it comes back up, let's go to the homepage here. 73.34. It'd have to jump up almost $1 in the last hour of trading. So we'll see if that comes to fruition, but I have a feeling it probably will not. But that is a nice rally to see, though. I think that's more of just a little short-term correction and a long-term downtrend, right? But if we get some rejection, come back down here, we could get a head and shoulders reversal candlestick pattern if it comes back up. So maybe look out for that if you're thinking bullish going into the close. Otherwise, if you're thinking bearish, I'm thinking maybe rejection somewhere around here. But we shall see. But it does look like the first half of a head and shoulders. So if it comes up, comes back down to about this shoulder level here, and starts ticking back up, that might be a good little day trade, if you will, towards the close. But again, we'll see if that comes to fruition. All right, everybody, enjoy your afternoon. Again, tonight's 6 p.m. video, AMD. Check it out, and I will see you tomorrow evening. Take care.